Satyam Vedanam Sthanayo Yadi Vedanam Sthanayo Yadi Ka etan buddhyate Vedan Ka etan buddhyate Vedan Ko vetesham vikalpakaha Ko vetesham vikalpakaha. You know, I heard this one, the professor here, Staneshwarji, we had gone for some gathering where he was talking, and he said that the latest research shows that when you chant Sanskrit verses, the area of your brain that has never been used starts waking up. Oh. Okay, this is, yeah, I was so happy. We all are chanting, and yeah, so at least it's positive, right?
Yeah.
Whether you understand or not understand, it just starts waking up.
Right.
Yes. So I was so thrilled.
So
okay, Joe, would you like to be reading today?
Sure.
So this is this one.
Nice.
I'll hear.
If the objects cognized in both the states of dream and waking be illusory, who cognizes all these illusory objects and then indeed is a creator of these imaginations? The entire stanza is in the mouth of the objector. The problem is that if, as the Vedantins declare, the world of objects and thoughts are both unreal, in the dream as well as in the waking state, then there must be certainly a perceiver who's knowing the world of objects as well as the world of thoughts. Now the object is raising a problem by inquiring that if everything is unreal, there must be some reality behind it all. Then who's the perceiver of the objects, the feeler of the feelings, or the knower of the thoughts? The implication is that if the Vedantin cannot explain the existence of some reality behind it all, they'll be negating and contradicting their own very Atma memory. It's a little thinner for me, because my eyes, close my eyes like that. Can function, and knowledge can be acquired only when there is a subject to remember or to know. Unless there is a single common experiencer and rememberer, the memory cannot function. Knowledge of things also is not possible unless there is a potent knower of the known. Thus the objector is inquiring as to who is the knower or the perceiver in the world of delusions. The Vedantin stand is challenged by the school who accepts the commonplace realities with a matter-of-fact intellectual composure as perfectly real.
So, did you see what he was saying in this verse?
So,
you want me to say or you want to try?
Yeah, go ahead, tell.
So basically he's saying that, okay, if you say that everything is unreal, so who's recognizing that it's unreal? That's what he's talking about. And then we know, on one hand, we see the dream. While we are seeing the dream, everything looks real. But then when we wake up, we say, it was a dream. And then we know that people who get realized, then they say, this world was a dream.
Yeah.
So then, who is this common person who dreamt in their dream, who's dreaming when you are here, like people like us, and then that? So he's saying memory has to function only when the common person is there. For example, our body. We were saying, okay, Shireen was a baby, a 5-year-old, then she became 15, and then she married Atmaji, and then you had kids, and now you're here. You have a memory because you are common in all of them.
Yeah.
So the same way, the guy who was dreaming, the guy who was deep sleep, even though he didn't know anything, but he had the indication, at that period, there was some period where I had a great sleep. Itna to apne ko aabhas hota hai na. So who is the person who knows all this? That is, objector is asking that question. Because there is, one is Gaudapada is saying these things, and there's a man standing and saying, no, first tell me, I don't believe this, blah, blah, whatever. So उसका objection ये है कि you are telling कि वो असत है, सत है, उसके पीछे कौन है भाई?
But once he becomes that, and then he came back, then he can remember he went there. So he can explain.
Yeah. So then वो है कौन बंदा?
That is what the universal truth is.
Right. Because we know it,
Yeah.
but you can see that he's taking us through a journey.
Yeah.
He's taking us, because we've already studied Vedanta, so intellectually now we know, we don't have the experience yet. And you have different levels of experience. You already have a lot more than us.
So but like Ramakrishna in meditation is one person.
Exactly.
Then out of meditation is another person. But he can go back and forth, so he can explain where he was when he was there. He didn't know who he was, but he can tell how it felt like. So that's where his knowledge came. That Anita Murjani, same thing.
So Anita Murjani, same thing happened.
Yeah.
And then this is what this Saneshwarji's lecture that I went to, it was किसी private में घर में किया था उन्होंने. So he actually was a student of one of the persons in Banaras when he was younger. That's where he studied all these things. So he said that in that tradition, I don't know if you know that, they don't give the fee, they only give Guru Dakshina at the end.
Mm.
And it happens even today in Banaras. That when the guy accepts you as a student, he doesn't take fee from you. He teaches you everything he knows. It's a Guru Parampara, they call it. So he is a parampara
they want to keep
of...
it till that, like Eklavya.
Yeah, Shiva Sutra. And he gave the name, I forgot the name.
Angutha le liya na.
वो तो उसका reason अलग था.
No,
But basically, the student will go and say, okay, please Guruji, tell me what dakshina I can give you. And the Guru will say, and then he was just saying that if the Guru says, I don't want any dakshina, that's not a good sign. The Guru should ask something. So his Guru asked him that don't let this knowledge that I gave you die for Kartik. He was literally crying. He's saying, because there was a fellow in 8th century, it seems. One day he woke up and he felt he was Shiva.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he felt connection with the galaxies and he just, it's saying that people might think he's crazy and they might send him to a mental hospital or something. Mm-hmm. That's how he felt. Yeah. And that led him to, in that state, he walked somewhere in some jungle and then there was a shila, like a big stone, and this Shiva Sutra was inscribed on it.
Oh.
So he picked it up from there, and then it seems the same Shiva Sutra is in Shiv Puran also.
Okay.
So these are the words of God revealed by different people to different people. Yeah. So he talked about that Shiva Sutra. So I'm just saying that people have these kind of experiences too.
That's how even Muhammad had that experience.
Yes,
what he
when
spoke.
He went on the
And Christ had the experience so they all have the experiences, but again Ramakrishna said it's like an elephant and a blind person. So blind person ने उसका leg touch किया तो he said elephant is like a tree, and उसने tail touch किया is like a snake. They all are right, but they are only seeing a portion.
Part of it, yes.
So when Krishna gave the Virat Roop to Arjun, that's where he said, you cannot see it with your own eyes. Even with special eyes, you can see limited. And even limited, he showed was everything. So that's where the whole thing is. So you
oneness he showed. Yeah. And then if you're not ready for it, they say you get scared, because that's what happened. Even if you read the book of Autobiography of Yogi, he kept asking his guru that, I want the experience. Oh, he wants you to open it.
That's it.
I didn't know it was not.
Hi.
Well, I'm just here to...
Yeah, go ahead. Don't worry. Yeah.
So he asked him, and the guru kept kind of postponing it. But उसने जब बहुत जिद की, तो उसको experience दे दिया, and he said he could not handle it.
That's what
it felt like a jolt, and then later on when he was ready, then when he gave it, then he could handle it. So you have to purify your mind. If you don't have a purified mind, and then if you see in Bhagavad Gita, if you have read in chapter 11, Arjun said, if you really think I'm worthy, can you please show me? You're telling me the whole world is in you. I want to physically see it. That's how he asked the question. I want to see that how the world, because the world in Krishna, but he was talking about Krishna who is self-realized. So then when he saw the whole thing, two things happened. Firstly, he got really scared.
Right.
And he was like, oh my God, he was shivering with because the Virat Roop was like whole universe. We can't even look at one sun. He's looking at 1,000 suns together. And the second thing that happened was एकदम उसके इतनी श्रद्धा हो गई उसको. He started saying, oh my God, God, you are great. And he started doing pratna, And then he said, I cannot handle it. Please come back to your original state like you were. I cannot handle this. But I'm so thrilled that I saw it. Now I know, but in this body I cannot handle it. Then Krishna Bhagavan comes back to his original. So that's what it is. He got that complete awestruck and he got scared. Because he saw death, life, everything in it. He saw the Mahabharata war, how it ended in it. He saw everything, everybody was getting merged into Krishna only. I think it's the most amazing,
that's very...
It's tremendous. And like you tell us about so many times about people from Ramakrishna group, that how they see Ramakrishna everywhere.
No, also Vivekananda came to him and he said, I don't believe in God, all that. Then he touched him. And then all of a sudden he started seeing Brahma everywhere, for 3 days. And then he said, okay, I'm going to take this key and then I'll give it to you when you're ready. And then, he told him later. Before he was dying, he gave him the information.
So it's all we read this and we know it is true now because it's coming from all different sources.
Right.
So now we have a choice.
Yeah.
We can go one more verse or we can stop here. It's 12 o'clock.
We can go.
So because then it will tell us who that person is behind it.
Sure.
Go to the restroom.
So much, and since we are doing Mandukya, it's helping me to understand even more. So in that Chandogya Upanishad, there is so much. If you don't know the correct thing, what they are trying to say, you can get so confused, I cannot tell you. So what the teacher was saying over there to his students, and which I also listened and made sense, he's saying it's so important to try to understand what the guy is trying to say actually. And that also requires a lot of manana.
Yeah.
Because you can take a completely opposite meaning and you won't get anywhere. If you want to progress on this path, you have to take the correct meaning and drop the rest and move on.
No, because this Priya Kalale's husband, he's a Gita expert. Like he has written books in Sanskrit and everything.
Oh, he has?
Oh yeah. So one of the Gita Goshti, they had some word in Gita and he spent an hour talking about that word, the meaning of that word. To me it just goes over, but the point is...
some of the Upanishads start with the word athaha, right?
Yeah.
And then they say athaha means therefore.
Yeah.
Means atha means you already know everything,
Right.
therefore you go, then this. So you won't even understand one word if you don't
Right.
know the background.
Right. Okay, let's go to the next one here.
Oh yeah, why I was looking at this. Alright, so we just finished this, right? Yeah. So let's do the Sanskrit. Kalpayatyatmanatman. Wait.
Such a big word.
Atmana. Yeah. I'll try it. Kalpayatyatmana atman.
Kalpayatyatmana
atman. Atma devah svamayaya.
Atma deva samayaya.
Sa eva buddhyate bhedan.
Sa eva buddhyate vedan.
Iti vedanta nishchayah.
Iti vedanta nishchayah.
Okay, you want me to read?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the definite conclusion of the Vedantic philosophy that the Atman, the self-luminous, through the power of its own delusion, meaning Maya, imagines in itself by itself all the objects and its individual experiences both in the world outside and within. It alone is the knower of the objects so created. So now the whole explanation. In the last stanza, we have found that the objector has raised a question as to who is the experiencer or the illuminator or the knower of the pluralistic world without or within. In this stanza, Gaudpada is answering the question. In Vedanta, the explanation for the pluralistic world of phenomena is given as a mere delusory superimposition upon the reality. The life spark, the Atma, the pure consciousness gets itself deluded by its own delusion and by itself projects out the pluralistic world which is nothing but itself, it being the all-pervading and eternal. It's a little bit complicated, but did you get it?
Yeah.
It's talking about the snake and the rope type of thing.
Yeah.
That it has a इतना potent है कि वो snake rope snake की जैसा दिखाई देने लगता है, you know. So वो कहाँ से आ रहा है सारा वो उसी के अंदर निहित है. But then
He's talking about the pluralistic world.
what is a pluralistic world? Tell me.
You imagine more than
This
all
is called
these things. All these things are
exactly.
Yeah.
So then even from the science perspective,
Yeah.
if you keep going to the inside, everything is energy.
Yeah.
Think about it. But
There's-
it manifests as
There's
all
nothing, there's just vibrations.
vibrations are there. So हम लोग को क्यों दिखाई दे रहा है? हम लोग delusion है, हम भूल गए कि ये energy है, हम भूल गए कि हम कौन है, इसलिए हमको दिखाई दे रहा है.
But all of us have different energies, right?
At the core of it, energy is the same.
Core is same, but each individual has its own, or maybe is not utilizing to the full extent. So what we see, what you see, I may not be seeing.
I know, from that perspective, what you're saying is perception of energies or the way it manifests, like you are using that energy word in a different sense.
Yeah.
What they are saying, what I'm saying is in a slightly different sense. I'm saying that the more you keep going deeper and deeper into substance, like Joe said, it's all vibrations and energy,
Yeah.
whether it's my body cells or whether it is this, इसके अंदर भी अपने को solid दिखाई दे रहा है, मगर if you know, science के हिसाब से solid नहीं है, because atom has that neutron and proton moving constantly like a constellation, and everything in us is also same way.
Also perception wise, that Carlos Castaneda thing that they said, that all of us, we have 18 inches on our right side, there's a beam of light coming, what they call eagle, it's like coming from sun, and it has 5900 fiber optics line in it. Some are on, some are off. That determines our world.
Yeah.
So like yours may be some on, some off, mine is some on, some off. So we look at the world differently. Then he says by doing certain exercises like this yoga and all that, you can acquire siddhis.
Yes.
Like that's what the siddhis are. So that's the whole premise
Open
here.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can turn on and off the light. Now somebody like Krishna came, all his lights were on.
He came itself that way. That's
No,
it.
I know, he is
Yeah.
perfect. So his all lights were on. Ram had only 14. Like we say 16 avatar and then 14.
16 कलाएं बोलते हैं.
16 kalaएं and 14 kalaएं. Ram was 14. So he needed help. See, Krishna didn't need any help.
Interesting. Yes, you're
See,
right.
Ram needed Hanuman, Sita, everybody, and Ram was crying.
Yeah.
Krishna.
No, they never said that. Krishna never cried, they said.
No, I know.
He's just smiling. Bansi baja raha hai apna time.
So,
Want to be there, right? Oh my gosh, it sounds so wonderful. Okay, so I think we got a little glimpse what he's trying to
Yeah,
say.
very
That
good,
it's a superimposition. That's
Want
what.
me to
Okay.
read?
Yeah, you can read.
We may find it rather difficult all of a sudden to understand such a situation wherein we ourselves, out of our own delusion, are projecting out a pluralistic world. This idea becomes subjectively clear if we analyze our experience in the dream. The dreamer starts his career the moment he forgets himself. Career. This capacity to forget himself and to project outward into a world of experienced objects is not a faculty that has reached him from anywhere else, but it is an inherent capacity in himself by which he can delude himself.
Let's stop here for a minute, because I think that this shed light so wonderfully
Yeah.
that why does a person dream? Because in the dream I've forgotten who I am. In a sense, I'm not, my body and body is not available to me. So body consciousness is totally gone. And I'm deluding myself and thinking, pata nahi kya jo bhi hai, right? Something that. So he's saying that capacity कहाँ से आई हमारे पास?
Yeah.
हम में ही है ना वो. So
Inside,
वैसे
yeah,
ही
yeah, because
that higher self has that capacity inherent in it. That's why when they talk about Maya, because Maya is they call it projecting power. Different ways they have explained Maya. Maya is avidya, Maya is a projecting power. So वो कहाँ से आई projecting power? उसमें ही वो निहित है. Like if, another example somebody gave which helped me to understand is like if you have a fire, you will have heat and light. Agreed? So same way Brahman or reality ultimate is so potent that creative power is part of it and it just expresses itself. That's it. No other way. And when Brahman kind of deludes himself, it projects it out like this, and then this is what happens to us.
coming under the sway of his own capacity to delude, he forgets his own real nature and thus gets himself ushered into a world of nothingness to experience the illusory plurality in his dream consciousness. In the dream, he thus comes to believe that he is in a definite place and is surrounded by circumstances created out of a given pattern of beings and things. But whatever be the pattern in which he is living, every little bit of his dream objects is in fact nothing but himself. The trees of the dream jungle, the dream stones underground, the waters of the dream river, the dream friends and enemies, the wild animals of the dream, in short, even the sky, the moon and the stars, which you all see in a dream, every bit of them is nothing but the dreamer's own mind. Similarly, in the waking state too, with the non-apprehension of reality, with the ignorance of our own real nature, we project outward into a world of phenomenal objects seemingly real for the waker so long as the waking state exists. But in fact, none of the objects of the outer world is anything other than the reality which is all-pervading. The plurality is only a superimposition upon the non-dual reality.
So this here obviously he's just explaining more and more and more, and he's coming to the conclusion like what you were saying, that there is an ultimate reality,
Right.
and uske through a projection chalu hai because it forgot itself. If you feel energy to read the rest of it, or you want Joan to read,
of
okay,
course.
read it.
Here, in this stanza, for the first time, Gaudapada has come down to provide us with at least an explanation for the pluralistic world that we cognize in a waking state. Generally, the theory of Manduka Upanishad, or the thesis developed in the Karika, is that the seemingly created world is a mere delusion, unreal and illusory in all the three periods of time. But at rare moments, even Gaudapada has condescended to descend to a level of perception and recognizing there a pluralistic world, has explained to us how it must have risen up from our own delusions.
So he's just saying that how on one hand they're saying, oh, it's all unreal, which, and even we have that objection, right? But अपने को तो real दिख रहा है. Then he's coming to the theory कि भाई कैसे हुआ. So वो dream का example लेके he's just saying कि same thing has happened over here.
So most of the people, they are not realized, so they all, it confirms, I see a tree, you see a tree, everything, so we get the impression it is a tree. Of course it's a tree.
Yeah, and I think that for our own self, if we kind of know that it is all transitory and all that, it helps us in our spiritual sadhana.
Yeah.
That's what, like, you know what Tejomananji used to say, okay, you don't want to call it unreal, call it relative reality. Chutti. You know, this is relative reality, that's ultimate. So relative को कि इतना क्यों तुम लोग खटपट कर रहे हो? You know, just, why are you wasting that much time? थोड़ा बहुत करो तो ठीक है, but you know how people get carried away, they're crying and they are like getting so elated and jumping up and down. It's like somebody is jumping up and down in the dream and you wake up, hey, I may be jumping up and down. That was not real. Don't we do that? Same way, okay, you enjoy your jumping up and down to a certain extent, but don't try to give too much importance. That's what he was saying. And I like that. Because at our level, we cannot completely deny it, right?
Yeah.
Because we still have to get up in the morning, we still have to do, I have to do my dishes, you brought the khana. We have to do all those things.
Yeah.
Then do it in a different spirit.
Yeah.
कुछ हुआ तो ठीक है, नहीं हुआ छोड़ो.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
This stanza is very famous in our literature and is therefore often quoted by authors or orators and philosophers. Under the scheme, as explained in this theory of creation, the question still remains: who is the seer, the knower, and the enjoyer of this pluralistic delusion? Here Gaudapada asserts, he alone is. The Atman, the pure awareness, alone is the knower. Whether it is a delusion without or within, the objects are illumined by the conscious principle in us.
So now he's going to explain in the next two stanzas what does that actually mean. That's very important.
As a matter of fact, on this topic there are innumerable assertions in the Upanishads declaring that all illuminations are from the light borrowed from the pure consciousness, and that even the sun, the moon, and the stars borrow their glory from the light of truth to shine in the heavens. In fact, if consciousness were not in us, there would have been certainly no illumination in the sun, moon, and the stars. It is we who, with our consciousness, light up the very light of the sun. For a dead man blinking at the sun on the roadside will not see the sun. What? For a dead man blinking at the sun.
Okay, what he's saying is that because we are conscious, alive, we look at the sun, we say, oh, this is sun. Suppose if this consciousness is not illuminating through me and I die, तो sun हो चाहे sun का बाप हो, मेरे को क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
So each one of us has their own world, which disappears with us.
Yes, that's what it means.
So you can expand your world, so you'll know more and more, but still you are not there. So once you go in that Atma, then you lose your identity anyway. And then you can come back, then you can explain. But
so that's one way, but from what I'm trying to understand over here, this is what he's saying, that first of all, if we accept there is one reality, and that reality has a power to illuminate things, means to know, to be conscious of things. So he's saying that same power is giving the power to the sun and is also giving us the power to look at the sun.
right.
That's what he's mainly trying to say. And we can understand that. Right?
Like every night we go to sleep, but we get up. And if we die in the sleep and we don't get up, so what is the difference between the two sleep? Because the pran disappeared.
Atma has disappeared.
Pran,
At that level of Atma, but that other...
the
there are-
pran.
when you say Atma, there's a lot of confusion. Some people sometimes use the term Atma for Sukshma Sharir.
Right.
And but here in Vedanta, when they say Atma, it is that pure consciousness at that highest level. So we have to know the distinction.
It can never be destroyed, but it can move on from your body to somewhere.
That is a Sukshma Sharir is moving on.
Right.
Usko bhi illumine wo Atma kar raha hai. That's what he's trying to
So
say.
consciousness is always there, whether you're
Yes.
dead or alive.
She's right. Conscious,
It's there.
but it is not being expressed through me.
Expressed through because it's not
Connection
illumined.
is
Yeah.
exact.
Body has no light or whatever.
Right.
I mean the connection is not there. If I pull the plug from the thing, that means the equipment is
So
still
the
sitting.
consciousness doesn't go. But what's the difference between consciousness and soul?
That's what I'm saying. They use this word loosely.
Loosely.
When the Vedanta says that ultimate soul is like the thing that is expressing through the body, sometimes they look at it that way. That's why they use the word Brahman, ultimate reality. When they say Brahman and Atman, Brahman is the totality.
Yeah.
Atman is just expressing through you, but
It's
actually
also
that
small.
is same.
Yeah.
Right? Because you understood that. You yourself said that.
Yeah.
It's like a space. I divide it and become my house space.
Right.
But in reality, it's not divided. I just put a wall that looks like it's mine.
Yeah.
That's why. He'll explain one more paragraph and then we will get
Hence,
it.
it is the accepted declaration in Vedanta.
No, wait. You didn't finish this.
Oh.
Thus the sun becomes
Oh,
a dead.
thus the sun becomes a dead, inert stuff to that body from which life has flowed out. If life were to depart from all of us, the sun, the moon, and the star must necessarily fade away into nothingness. Consciousness is the illuminating principle everywhere.
Now read the last part.
Hence, it is the accepted declaration in Vedanta that the conscious principle of life in us is the knower of all the external sense objects of the world and the internal flow of different thoughts, emotion, ideas, and so on. It is in the light of consciousness that we get a world of dreams illumined. Again, it is the light of Atma that illuminates for us the gross external light of the day in a waking state. Yeah.
So basically, he's saying he was same illumination works in the dream
Dream
as well as outside.
The
That's
cross
all
world.
he's saying.
Yeah.
You know, and we think it is different, but the cause of it is the same.
Same.
And that's why he's saying that when you are at that state, both of them become an experience only. Yeah, it's like, I think slowly you grow into this. It's hard to just,
Yeah, I
you
know.
have to-
you have to-
and it's a subject in the end you will, but we know, we start understanding more,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Okay, so now the prayers.
prayers.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kashchit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya.
Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Om
Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandham Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityurmukshiyamamritat.
Om Purnamada
Purnamidam
Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Om Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi Brahmano Brahmanahutam Brahmeva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. Should we do 3 times Om?
Yes.
Yeah.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.